Welcome to WO50 Women Over 50 Embody Wisdom and Wellness.
Hello, my BFF. Hello, everybody. My name is Corrine, and I'm here with my best friend, Eddie. And today we're talking about flipping the script on aging, focusing on the top 3 wellness elements, which are food, movement, and perspective.
It's a great conversation. We had many ideas and
we're always full of ideas. We did talk a lot. The first half of it was probably about food, which is great. You know, we did have a new take on it, which I really enjoyed because we have talked about food in the past, not for a while, but nutrition. But we did have a new
hacks.
Glucose hacks. Yes, some really important glucose hacks. And then movement is always important. We had a little bit about that, and then finished up on knowing yourself, on your perspective. So take a listen. There's some good stuff in there, and we hope you enjoy. Oh my gosh. We're a little tired today. We're a little bit tired today. We've been talking just for 20 minutes or so before we get on. And but we're going to get our energy up for this podcast.
We are. Yes, we are. Beautiful summer day.
Yes, it is the tail end of summer in most places other than the South.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody's had a great summer.
Hope so.
Yeah. And today we're going to talk about flipping the script on aging. Eddie came up with the 3 wellness elements. I love that. And what are they, Ed?
They're food, this and perspective.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to go into detail on all of these 3. I love this. Did this kind of come out of our working on our WO50 course?
Yes,
3-month course.
Did. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because it's really important to share all this information because there's going to be so much of it in the course. So it's really nice to kind of break it down, like, having a little bite size to sample.
Sometimes it drives me a little crazy, I must say, when like Jay Shetty and all these other people are like, the 7 things that will change your life, the 3 most important things, seriously, like we've talked about this before. There is no magic bullet. However, it is helpful to chunk things, to categorize things, to know, like what, these 3 elements, your food, your movement, your perspective, how are these 3 things in your life? And then Jay Shetty might put it in a different way. And, Mel Robbins might put it in a different way. But this is the way we're putting it in today, straight from Dr. Eddie's little brain.
Well, and your brain as well, because, we're going to be talking about perspectives, and that includes thoughts and our thinking patterns and how we can adjust them if we're too negative. And you're really good with that. You're really good at kind of redirecting and
and I'm good at movement too. I just meant the topic was yours today. I
thought you were going. You were laying it all on me today because you're not feeling
me
energized.
Yeah. No, I'm never going to lay it all on you. I like to talk too much, which is so funny. I really don't. I mean, it does seem like I like to talk, but I also like to listen.
Me too. I think when we like to talk when we're sharing information. It's funny because, I had a neighbor that said one of their friends is doing a podcast. They live somewhere in the U.S. And he said, it's a good thing he got into radio. He said, it's a good thing he's a radio guy because he sure loved to talk when he was growing up and coming to our house. Glad he put it to good use. I'm like, well, gee, I'm doing a podcast, but I didn't really love to talk when I was young. But I do love sharing my information, my wheelhouse, stuff from my wheelhouse, Yeah. So,
I feel like you and I do have a good balance. I think it takes awareness to be able to, because there are people that are talkers and there are people that are super quiet. It is nice when you have a balance because sometimes it can be a little exhausting to be around somebody that kind of talks at you nonstop. I have a couple of people in my life like that. And I'm like, oh, it's, it can be challenging sometimes. Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
get the little bits out of it. We don't, because some people you might say, are you hearing what I'm saying? But
Oh,
there's
I'll
no
do that
need of
if it's a
even,
good, absolutely.
oh,
Yeah,
okay,
if it's
good.
a one of my students or something, I'll definitely actually I'll even interrupt them sometimes. I'll be like, I've been standing here for 20 minutes and you haven't taken a breath. I'll actually say that. I'll say it in a nice way, but I will. Oh, well, I thought you were talking to you. And I said, no, not in the last 20 minutes or so. And I was like,
Well, yeah, that's funny you say that because I had some patients too, now that I think about it, that they're talking, they want to get their whole story in as
oh,
fast as they
yes.
can.
Oh,
And then
yes.
I will make, like, I think is like, wow, this is a good piece of information to give them right now because this is
Yeah.
important. And they're not hearing me and
Yeah.
they keep going. And
Yeah.
then I will go, excuse me, let's stop right here. Did you
Yeah.
hear what I just said? They're like,
Yeah.
no. I said,
Yeah.
exactly. So let's break it down, right?
Yeah.
And that's really cool because it's kind of like what we're doing now. We're flipping the script. We're kind of taking you know, the old adage or, people, well, we'll talk about eating healthy or what do we eat or how do we eat and why do we eat and letting the reasons why we eat fall away, except for the fact that we have to eat to live. Some
Mm-hmm.
people live to eat, but we eat to live. We need the nutrients, we need the food, we need the quality, the vegetables, the
Mm-hmm.
fruit, the proteins. We got to get the fuel right
Yeah.
into our body. And sometimes, and some people go, well, but I like a little junk food and I like chocolate and I like candy on special occasions. And well, that's okay. That's okay. But long as the bulk of what you're eating is good, long as you're
Mm-hmm.
aware of how you're fueling your body, whether you're a diabetic or you have blood pressure issues or your movement isn't, it's not, you're not moving a lot, it's minimal because of, could be many reasons.
Yeah. You're
Body
not
is
feeling great or
achy.
whatever. Yeah.
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 Yeah. There's limitations, but yeah.
I finally watched that new movie last night, that documentary on Netflix, the gut one that you told me about. Gut check,
Hack
is
your
it called?
health. Hack your health.
Hack Your Health. Yeah, so we recommend that. I will put that in the notes. And
Yes.
what was that they said? I think you've said it before, but you want to count 20 to 30 fruits and different varieties of fruits and vegetables per week minimum.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And colorful, like different colors. Everything
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be beige. We
Or
want,
all red, like
we're
not
all
all.
red.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why when we cut up peppers or we use eggplant or we have beets or we add color to our veggies. And, it's beautiful because when we eat fiber first, like our vegetables, we actually slow down the glucose spike. If we eat
Mm-hmm.
carbs first or potatoes, we spike our blood sugar. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like a glucose hack, right? From our
Mm-hmm.
good glucose gal.
You're the
And
glucose goddess. Yeah.
yeah. And she shares a lot of information about that, which is great for people to listen into it and get some ideas. But get your fiber in, then your protein, then your fats and your carbs. Yeah.
Yeah, all in the same meal.
Supplement.
And it's interesting because what did we used to do? I know when my dad used to take us out for dinner at least once a month, and we have a French background. And I don't know if you guys did this too, but we'd always have our salad first.
Yeah.
That's what we would be served in a restaurant. You always got your salad first.
Yeah.
And then, but bread sometimes too came with that. A lot of times the bread would go down at the table before the salad. But if
Yeah.
you can hold off on the bread and or the tortilla chips when you sit down for Mexican food, how many times do you like just dive in before the guacamole comes or the bean burrito or something? So
That's
yeah,
right.
so if you can have your salad first or your veggies on your plate first, that's
Yeah.
what Eddie's saying, and then that's the order she says, and then the protein. So this is new information, really. It's really pretty recent information that Eddie and I have been listening to, and that there's a lot of studies now that are showing, because there's been a lot of studies about your insulin in the last, what, 5, 10
Mhm.
years. A lot,
Well,
a
there's
lot
so
of.
much. Yeah, there's metabolic syndrome, there's
Mm-hmm.
pre-diabetes, and now with the big buzz on Ozempic and different weight loss plans and medicines, and if we can, even when people do those medications or drugs, they need to change their lifestyle. You still
Mm-hmm.
have to eat healthy.
Yeah.
You might lose
Yeah.
the weight, but once you stop doing those medications or injections, you'll gain that weight back. So it's really important we change how we eat our food and what we're eating. Yeah.
So why do you think, Eddie, it's important to even be more, I mean, I think it's always important to be mindful, but why is it, might it be even more important over 50 to be mindful about your food?
Mainly to prevent degenerative illness, inflammation, making the body too acidic. Because a lot of these foods, sugar, too much sugar, too many carbs, they increase inflammation. So often the pain volume goes up, or people get arthritic aches, or we are, the genetic blueprint starts showing up, right? We start going, oh, I'm showing like my parents started like this, their blood pressure, oh, their cholesterol went up in their 40s, 50s, 60s. These are indicators that we really have to look at. And when we change our awareness around what we're eating, well, we're also changing and slowing down the degeneration of our body. So if we can take in some foods that are actually helping us regenerate new cells, not destroy our cells, so we're either regenerating or degenerating.
Yeah, that puts it plain and simple.
That's it, plain and simple. We're either really acidic or alkaline, and we have this acid-base balance going on all the time in our body. So this balance with the controlling sugar spikes and inflammation, I mean, down the road, it pays off tenfold because you're preventing illnesses, you're getting more quality of life, we got to do this. We have to do this. We have to.
If we want to age healthy.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of the biggest, I think, well, one of the
top 3
is flipping the script.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We're flipping their script all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I love about the glucose goddess, since I do love my sweets, is that she says, because she's French, she's this adorable woman who's a biochemist. And she says, you don't have to not do your dessert. You just want to have it last. You have your veggies first, you get your fiber in. And then, and she explains that she's on a couple of podcasts and she explains how it works. She was on the Dr. G's Chatterjee. He's really good. I should put him in there too. Chatterjee, he's an Indian doctor. I think he's from England and he is amazing. And they just, discussed about how that works in your body. So you can still have your dessert and it won't spike your blood sugar if you have that order of eating your veggies first, your fiber, your protein, your fats, and then eat your dessert last, which is we do naturally anyway. Well, there's some people that eat their dessert first, but we're asking you not to do that. If if you're over 50, for sure. Because I think there are some young people that are healthier, healthy, and they can actually have a sweet and not spike their blood sugar. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Because their metabolism is so fast or something. And
and she's a chemist. So it's interesting because I printed off. I love it that she has the 10 glucose hacks. And I just printed this off today. I just saw it there.
Nice.
And this is the perfect time to say this. So her first hack is eat foods in the right order. And it's fiber, protein, and fats, then starches and sugars. Have veggie as your starter. Stop counting calories. Have a good savory breakfast with protein being the centerpiece. Fat and fiber in it as well. Nothing sweet unless you have fruit with the breakfast, right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
You want the sweet. She says any type of sugar. And I always say any type except artificial, like aspartame or Splenda or sucralose or those guys. Vinegar. She says vinegars, add a tablespoon, make a dressing with it. Like it's amazing because it actually reduces the spike of your glucose by 30%. I've said that for years. Put vinegar in your diet.
And lemon does the same thing too. And fermented foods. Yeah.
Fermented foods, right? They're really important. And then after you eat, move and I love her last one, put clothes on your carbs. The putting clothes on our carbs means adding protein, fat, or fiber to your starches and your sugars. And it reduces the speed glucose goes into the body, right?
Yeah.
Like into the blood. It's amazing. Like
it is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people will argue it and say, if you eat that stuff first, because Dr. Chatterjee did say this. He's like, or that's actually the podcast name is something else, but he was like, Oh, well, I've gotten my kids before to make sure they eat their vegetables first. And then I find that they don't even want their sweet after that. And she goes, well, that might be true, but you don't have to. You can still have your sweet. That's how good
Yeah.
that this, chemistry works. So,
Well, that's
yeah.
often what they say is that if you have your vegetables, the fiber, I always say it's like giving your body a bone to chew on, right? Your gut, it's like throwing the dog a bone. And you get
Mm-hmm.
the fiber, and then you get your protein. And then by the time you get, say you had like spinach and salmon and sweet potato, by the time you get your sweet potato, you might not want to eat them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think she had mentioned that, or one of them, somebody did.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says it somewhere. But all these years, I've been working with people with food, and um, I love this method now. It's like we're able to simplify it even more, that it's sometimes not the food that we're eating, it's how we're eating it, the way we're eating it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also awareness around why are you eating what you're eating? Like when you can
Mm-hmm.
have real beans and real plant protein, and you're going for processed meats or stuff you don't even know what's in it, like why are you eating that?
Just convenience and education is all it is.
Exactly.
That's what we're
Exactly.
doing. It's
Yeah.
just, and I know me, I talk to people about this every day, and I know you do too. It's like prepping, you're being food prepping is key, because when you're hungry, you are going to reach for packaged and something quick and instead of something healthy. So you've got to buy do your shopping day. If you're still working, do your shopping day and prep. Or if you're not working, even better, then do your shopping prep a few times a week,
Yep.
and chop up. I've always got some celery and water that I can grab anytime, and I love sweet peppers like red pepper and different. There's these big peppers we have right now. They're like candy themselves,
I love
and
those.
grabbing those throughout the day, and yeah, yeah.
And it's really great too, like when you put celery in your water and you drink, you can even drink that water because now
Mm-hmm.
you have celery water.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really good for helping your blood sugar, actually. And celery is so good for the body. And
Yeah, and
yeah.
cucumber and lemon too water. Those are really good too, because they add the enzymes from the cucumber and the lemon
Mhm.
into the water.
Yeah, it's all,
Yeah,
yeah, there's
yeah,
lots of little things we can
yeah.
do. And then we have movement, right? So even now, even more and more of the studies about movement is after your meals, just get up and walk around. If you eat
Or
something
dance around the
sweet,
kitchen.
dance around the kitchen, move your limbs, squeeze your muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just burn it off as we're just, yeah, wiggle your toes, do calf raises, go for a
Mm-hmm.
little 10-minute walk after supper. And
Yeah. And they say, oh,
yeah,
that's all that's needed is 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be a 30-minute walk, even.
yeah,
10 minutes
yeah,
is so easy to do. Yeah.
yeah. And we get our yoga in, and some people like to swim and walk and bike and hike and, pickleball.
Yeah, I
There's,
got to get your movement in. And what was it? I think we mentioned this on a podcast before, that one of the now the research is, because there's so many people that work out like before they go to work or after they get home, and they do, and then they're sitting the rest of the day and evening, and they say movement throughout the day is
yeah.
really better than 30 minutes of intense cardio once a day.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
That's flipping the script on movement, even,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just don't stay so just stationary.
Well,
Just
as you say, Dr. Eddie, motion is lotion.
that's right, I do. I don't know where I heard that either. Some wise person said that to me.
Got it from
Yes.
somewhere, took it out of the
Motion
ethers somewhere.
motion is lotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's lots of people that always say, "Oh, I'm so stiff in the morning, but once I get going, I feel better." Yep. Then keep moving it. Keep moving it. Keep
Yeah, because that's the
motion.
first thing when we're sick, or our body is sore, or we have a small injury, not a major, but a small injury. It's like we don't want to move that area, but it's more important to move that area to
Mhm.
keep it going. Because the more we stop, slow down the movements, where it's just going to get stickier and stickier. We're going to get stuck, just like the
That's
Tin
right.
Man. We
Yes.
needed oil, right?
Yes, we'll get creaky and
Mm-hmm.
crackly, and we'll get crepitus, which is those our knees make that funny sound, and that's okay. It's all right. It's just, it's your bones making music. They're singing. Yeah. Yeah, we gotta, that's it. Or we go, oh my God, there's my bones creaking, or there, oh, listen to my knees. It's like, oh, listen how sweet
It's
that is.
talking.
It's like a percussion instrument,
Yeah.
built in.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. And
Yep.
then perspective, watching the thoughts, negative thoughts or negative people, what we're saying to ourselves, right? What else?
Yeah, that's one of the first things, so when I lead a group meditation on Sundays, usually I'll say, at the end of the meditation, how was your meditation? And somebody usually says, oh, I wasn't as settled. It wasn't very good. And I'm like, well, so what is not a not good meditation to you? And they're like, yeah, not settled and just a lot of thoughts. And I'm like, that is the best meditation. And because it shows you do have these repetitive thoughts but you're the one that's aware of the thoughts, because most people think that they are their thoughts, and they just will grab onto whatever's like got energy in their mind or gravity that day. And the more you're aware that your thoughts are coming, going, your thoughts arise out of simply nowhere, and then they go out of nowhere too. That's happening to us all day long. So becoming more aware that that you have the power over your thoughts and they don't have power over you. But that's a long dance that takes, some years to get. And that's how we can start the perspective, is know ourselves first, noticing our repetitive like emotions and thoughts and ways of looking at things. Am I a half glass full, half empty person? How can I be a half, glass full person instead of half empty? And having good friends that call you out on it.
Oh, you
Um,
did. I mean, even the other day, I got caught in my head, and this is why connection, this is perspective, right? Connection's a big part of the flipping the script, and once you get that thought, like we go, oh my God, what was I doing? What was I? We just get caught up in it, and then it's really important that we vent it or we move it along somehow. And sometimes we need a good friend to vent it to. And thank you.
mhm.
Yeah.
We absolutely have to be able to vent. Yeah. And I remind people of that. I'm not saying that we don't vent and process our emotions. I'm saying once you process it, then you're done with it.
Mhm.
You might process it with one
True.
or two, maximum three people,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah. Because
story's done.
why do we want to keep reliving it? Like especially if it causes angst, and why do we want to and share it with somebody else, and then that builds, and then share it with somebody else, and that builds, and
And
next
because why people do that?
why?
Well, it confirms the ego and what you thought. So that person said this about me,
Mm.
and I'm right in my being indignant. It just creates stories, and it builds stories, and it solidifies the story. And the ego likes the stories, likes the
Hmm.
constructs. So the
Yeah.
more you become aware of those stories that become voluntary, they're not even real and true of what's happening in your life
Yeah.
anymore. And
Yeah.
some of us have old ones, some of us have new ones. And just knowing that, getting to know that, the difference
Yeah.
between that. Yeah.
The beautiful inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
The beautiful inquiry. What? What? How's that making me feel? Why do I want to think that? Oh, gosh.
Do I even
Maybe I'll,
believe that anymore?
do I even believe that? Is that even true?
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about something else then. Yeah. Oh, if only it was that easy. But it takes practice and flipping the script over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful
Diligence in
thing.
every moment.
Awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But we can do
nature
it.
that, yeah, that we can think a thought and then go for a nice walk, be in nature, come back and feel refreshed.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a really strong emotion or a repetitive thinking pattern that can happen, especially if there's an emotion attached to it, something's happened that you don't like, or somebody's done something, so many things that can come up in our lives. If it's sticky and you find yourself, like I was dealing with a friend of mine recently, the last couple of weeks, she's been at this company for 38 years, and she got she didn't get a bad review. Her boss was on her way out going to another position, and they get a review once a year. They get reviewed like a once a month, and then they get reviewed as big corporation once a year, and then that's what their increase in their salary and their bonus is based on. And she got a less doesn't meet expectations on her leadership skills, which is so not her, right? And she's been so upset about it. And I mean, finally, 3 weeks after processing this with her, we got to, and I had to allow, this is I'm working with her, so she has to process it. I'm not going to jump right to, you can't believe them. That doesn't, I'm not going to do it. It has to be her process. And my job is to reflect back to her, and everybody would be different in this situation. So she's now come to that, because she was told by her new boss that these things are done on a bell curve. And once a boss, because they've got 20 different bosses in there, once they submit a review, because they need a bell curve, they can actually change it after.
Oh.
So her other boss probably gave her a good review, and because of the bell curve, so that's kind of what she's come to now, because she's kind of looked at her work and her reviews in the past and things like that. And just the job market these days, they're trying to cut down, expenses. The market's not good, all of that stuff. So anyways, that's, I just wanted to give an example of honoring and processing something and knowing how to, and it's taken her about 3 weeks, but she hasn't stayed stuck in one thought. She's gone from talking to her boss, her old boss that gave her that review, to talking to her new boss, to talking to some mentors around her, to a business coach, to me, and then sort of different impacts from people. And now I said to her yesterday, I'm like, okay, it's been 3 weeks now. Now it's time to start being present and let that go, because, and she knows that too. Like the more you talk about it, it keeps it alive, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
It is, that kind of reminded me of something I was listening to, and I think I mentioned it to you. I heard Megan Trainor interviewed by Jay Shetty, and again, perspective. And she talked about not liking her body. And her therapist said to her, just strip off your clothes and look at yourself every day, every day, every day for, I guess it was 2 or 3 weeks. And she said, and she did it. And by the time, she's into the 3rd week, she stopped looking at the scars and the stretch marks and she just started flipping the script and going, this body, is actually healthy. I live in this. And just had this beautiful dialogue with herself. And then Jay said, when somebody had complimented you and you wouldn't take the compliment, he said, and now you do. He said, you take the compliment, you get a double whammy, because now you're saying thank you, and they're great, and you're grateful for it, and then they're grateful that you took the compliment. He goes, it's just such a positive thing. So why would we not do that? Because we have so much conditioning.
And also being unconscious that that's even a tape. Like a lot of things, and some of us are really good at some things and blind spots in other spots. That's, I think, the podcast I'm going to post to this week, I think, is about our habitual thinking patterns and stuff. And so it's like, you probably do have many ways that you don't hold on to things, but there's probably some blind spots you have you don't even realize that, because you say, some people will just say, well, that's just the way I am. Yeah. That's kind of really irritates me when people say that. Because I'm not interested in myself. Like, I have to respect that if a person really wants, I just know usually they don't. It's just an excuse, because I just want to be the best version of myself I can be. I want to constantly be learning and growing and shifting and transforming and changing. And
same.
And so when people say that, it's like, because some things we just believe that it is the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's not true. If the only thing that's true in life is that change is inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Always. With everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And that you're okay with it. Like, I love that. I love that I can look back over these years and go, God, you've changed, but you're still the same. There's still that like Alea says, that true nature's always there, you know?
Yeah, the essence of who we
Essence.
are. My brother and I had that conversation this summer because he's quite the opposite of me, and he said something about, oh, I am who I am. I'm the same as I was. He's 64, and I'm the same as I was at 19, and I didn't challenge him then, of course. And I said to him the next day, listen, I just want to circle back to something. I said, I don't want to challenge you because I would never want to challenge you in anything because he's a warrior. Cut my throat easily with his words. I said, the essence of who you were at 19, yes, is the same. I said, but you've seen the world, you've grown, you look at things differently, you do things differently. So that part of you has changed. So the essence of you has not, but there's a lot of parts of you that have changed. And that was kind of what he was getting to. He was trying to say, this mistake that he hasn't forgiven somebody for, 30 years later. I'm like, come on, they were a different person at 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you believe I have to have a conversation with a 64-year-old? But
yeah. Yep. And hey, it's in my family
I mean,
well,
we
we all have it,
absolutely.
whether it's not
Yes.
immediate, maybe, I don't know, but
yeah,
there's a lot
true.
of moving parts.
It's so
within
true.
us.
And it's really, there are blind spots, just like a car that has amazing mirrors and everything. There are still, no matter how well they design them, there are still blind spots.
Yeah. But still, there's still a hiccup. There's still a bump, a speed bump.
Yeah.
It's growth. It's long as we're willing to keep, changing the tape, flip the script, rewrite the story, not get stuck.
Those are all good cliches, Eddie. Those were great. You're so good at that. I was going to let you roll. That's fantastic.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun chat.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah. So, just keep listening, y'all. It's, we love doing these. We learn, we research, we share with each other. If we weren't doing this with you, we'd be doing it anyway, not recording it. So we're just thrilled when everybody tunes in and continues to enjoy.
Yeah.
So,
thank you for listening. I think
love
we even
you.
have listeners now right out in Greatstow here in Newfoundland, which is great.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Love you all. Love you, Ed.
Love you. Love you all.